And all right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Today is the first training, the first monthly training of 2025. So I'm really excited. I have a lot of information that I want to share. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my slides and follow along. And if you have questions, put it in the chat box, but I'll try to answer all of your questions at the very end, which is actually my favorite part. So I'm going to try to go through the content as much as possible. I have a lot of content that I want to share and some insights to share that will definitely change the or reshape the trajectory of your 2025 for your business. So let me go ahead and pull up my slides and let's get started. And if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to leave them in the chat box and I'll definitely answer them at the very end. But I may pop in here and there just to ensure that everything is good. Okay, so let's go ahead here. Yes. Okay, so can you see my screen? You can let me know if you, okay. You should be able to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. Okay, you can still see the screen now too, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, so let's get right into it. So like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about your sales funnel, specifically about optimizing your entry points, ensuring that your content is aligning with those entry points, and thinking about how it is that you can create advocates as you build your business, right? So thinking about not just about getting the right kinds of people to be attracted to your offer, to your service, whatever the case is, but just really and truly thinking about how it is that you can create this connection and it be a connection that is one that is going to be very fruitful, right? And we can have repeat business, right? I'm always stressing the importance of ensuring that when you are marketing and you're being very intentional about your marketing, you're thinking about how it is that you can have repeat businesses, right? So business transactions rather. So it's not just about getting the client or the customer right now, but thinking about, okay, how is it that I can continue to engage with these people so that they will become advocates for your brand, right? Ultimately, that's the end goal. So let's go ahead and move right along. So here's on the agenda. We kind of went into the intro right now. When I get into the content, I am going to make an offer, and then of course you're going to have the Q&A as well. So let's get into optimizing your sales funnel and really looking at key elements such as missed opportunities. So at the end of the day, it's really important for you to identify any overlooked or underperforming traffic channels. Ultimately, this is going to allow for you to optimize underutilized channels by creating new opportunities for growth, whether or not you're providing a product or service. So here's some really interesting traffic missed opportunities or traffic opportunities. So we have referral traffic, we have a YouTube channel, we have a podcast, we have Google My Business, and we have SMS. And I'm going to go ahead and go through all of these in a little bit more detail. So when it comes on to referral traffic, the impact here is that referred traffic customers have a 16% higher lifetime value and they are 18% more loyal, right? So think about that. What could that actually do for your business? If you focused heavily on referral customers, right? Think about how it is that this could actually impact your business. So whether it is you're selling a product or a service, let me give you some examples as to how what this could potentially look like for your business. So if you're providing a service, maybe you are a marketing consultant, for instance. A marketing consultant can offer like an exclusive VIP content for referrals, right? So whether that is through like a portal or a one-on-one session. If you're providing a product, whether you have a skincare product or you're selling candles or you're selling makeup, you can use a tiered reward system for referrals. So granting access to exclusive and limited edition products. That is how you could utilize this when it comes on to referral traffic for a product-based business, right? So let's move right along. So when it comes on to, so the next thing is the YouTube channel creation, right? So here's the thing about YouTube that I myself actually admit that I haven't really utilized YouTube as much as I should have or I should be. But it's that definitely something that I'm planning on changing over the next couple of weeks and really kickstarting that. And here's some of the things that you need to know about YouTube. So YouTube allows for if you create a YouTube channel, it's free to create a YouTube channel. So anyone can create a YouTube channel. It allows for you to strengthen your brand's visibility and it allows for you to create evergreen content. So there's going to be like a content life cycle that doesn't fade, right? A lot of social media platforms, when you post, it has a very limited um life cycle, right? And that content life cycle is usually within 24 hours. So depending on what kind of engagement happens within that 24 hours of you posting, that decides how good or how well that content continues to do, like how well it will do. But that with YouTube, on the other hand, it's there's no limitations. There's not that 24-hour life cycle, right? And it's not that when you post the content within 24 hours that content fades, right? Like it's going to be evergreen, right? And evergreen ultimately means that it's going to be there for a very long time, as long as it's valuable content and information that people are looking to engage with, right? With that being said, the impact of YouTube is that 90% of shoppers actually discover new brands and products on YouTube. So if you have a product-based business, if you have a service-based business, there's a lot of opportunities for you to explore on YouTube. Of course, you want to have your strategy because the strategy has to align with you being able to have access to a larger and more diverse audience. It's also a very cost-effective way and there's a different engagement that you'll be able to, a direct engagement that you'll be able to have with your customers as well. And of course, it allows for you to really have really good brand reputation because you're able to present your brand in a very tailored way, in a way that's very true, authentic to you, and how it is that you want to be able to create a connection with people who are ultimately going to buy from you as well. So, for service-based businesses, you can use YouTube to create tutorials or showcase your expertise. For product-based business, you can use YouTube to create product demos, how to leverage using how to if you had a candle business, for instance, it could be how to get the most out of your each candle, right? So, thinking about how to use your product, like and how do videos do really well because it's like you're actually selling your product without saying, hey, come buy my stuff, right? And people really like that. People want to see the product in action. So you want to ensure that you're really looking at ways in which you can incorporate that within your YouTube channel. It's like showing people as opposed to telling them just come and buy my stuff. So that's also really, really powerful as well. The other way in which you can, the other way in which you can really amplify, and amplify overlooked and underperforming traffic channels is by leveraging podcast sponsorships or actually creating a podcast yourself. So ultimately, um, podcast sponsorships, regardless, or podcast creation, regardless if you're selling a product or service, can really be powerful because you're able to reach very niche audiences, right? That allows for you to build that brand trust, and brands actually from some research I've been able to gather, earning 28% more revenue when they do utilize sponsorships through podcasts. So if you have a product or you have a service right now and you're thinking, how is it that I can tap into a market that I'm going to see a return on investment, not necessarily right away, but you are thinking, okay, I can leverage this maybe if I started something, when the end of Q1, maybe I'll be able to see some kind of return by Q4, like thinking about playing the long game. Podcast sponsorship can really be a powerful way to tap into a very specific market. And that's going to also will require you to do some research on your end to be able to tap into that very niche audience as well, right? So if you are a service-based business, You can host a podcast discussing topics relevant to your industry. So if you're like in finance, you could be, discussing investment strategies for financial advisors. If you're a product-based business, it could be that you're sponsoring a podcast that aligns with your audience, right? So it could be a wellness podcast for healthy food brands. It could be even in wellness, it could be that you do a sponsorship with if you had like a candle line or if you had like a skincare line or whatever the case is, think about how it is that you can align yourself with the audience of that particular podcast, right? So it's not just about like directly trying to, not directly trying to sell to people who have exactly your audience, but thinking about, okay, who would potentially be interested in this particular niche in what it is that I have to offer. So that's what happens when it comes on to leveraging a podcast or actually doing a podcast sponsorship. Another really powerful thing is Google My Business, and this is going to be really good if you are serving a very local demographic. A lot of people focus on like the World Wide Web. That's great, but if you have a business that also services your local area, Google My Business is also a really great way in which you can increase your local visibility by up to 70%. In terms of if you're providing a service or you're providing a product, that can look very different. If you're a service-based business, you can include photos of of what it is that you have to offer. You can have a flyer of your services, and you can also showcase reviews to improve your visibility as well. Of course, the positive ones. And then when it comes on to a product-based business, you can highlight product availability and promotions to drive in-store visits, right? So if you have like an actual brick and mortar physical location, that is also another way in which you can leverage Google your business, right? Google My Business. Another underutilized way in which you can optimize your marketing is by leveraging SMS marketing. So if you don't know what SMS is, it's ultimately short message services. So think of it how if you book an appointment at a spa and they'll send you a text message to remind you that you have an appointment, right? So with SMS, open rates are within like a 82% open rate, right? And it's a very underutilized high impact channel, right? So think about how it is that you can use it for your business. A lot of platforms such as like client relationship management tools or even just project management tools actually have some kind of SMS marketing built into this as well. So if that's also another way in which you can leverage it so that you're not spending a lot of money on having a lot of tools as well. And then in terms of strategies for product and service-based businesses, think of it for your service-based business as like appointment reminders, like I had mentioned earlier, exclusive offers. And then for your product-based business, you can share new arrivals, or if you have like a promotion going on or anything like that, or a flash sale. That is also another way you can leverage SMS to really create that impact and ultimately drive that revenue as well for your business. So with that being said, I want to do a bit of a check-in with you. Which channel drives the best leads for your business right now? Right? I'm going to just kind of pause this and come into um, the comments to see. I want to hear from you. Like, if you could only use one channel to attract leads, what channel would that be and why? I want to hear from you guys. And feel free to unmute your mic and let me know.
Oh, well, for me, I think Instagram
Okay.
because I get to run like ads on it,
Mm-hmm.
targeted ads. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
And when you say because you get to run ads, you can run ads on pretty much every social media platform.
well, I mean, oh yeah, that's true. But like I'm more familiar with the Instagram platform. I've been using it longer. So to
Mm-hmm.
me, I think it provides more traction, especially when I run ads, I get more like DMs or queries, but not
Okay.
necessarily sales though. That's the
Okay.
issue.
So what kind of ads are you creating, or how is it that you're like leveraging ads on Instagram, for instance?
What I do is boost posts. So like if I post about one
Do it. Boosting posts is a waste of your money. It's better to go in actually like the ads manager, like the business portal in Facebook, and actually develop your ads from there. Boosting a post is
Right,
just literally like throwing something against the wall and hoping that it's going to work. Like sometimes it might work, but it doesn't give you as much wiggle room, and you're not able to tailor how you want your ad to show up. Um,
right.
they kind of limit what you can do in there. So that's why I'm a big fan of actually going into Meta's business portal and setting up your ads from there.
Okay.
So
All right.
that is
Yeah,
so
I'll
I
do
mean,
that.
yeah, so I mean it's good that you're speaking up and you're sharing this, because then you know for next time when you're doing any kind of marketing campaign, that is how you can really optimize the potential of sales. But when you're, I guess for anyone else as well, when you're doing a marketing campaign, are you just focused on generating revenue, or are you looking to build like brand awareness as well?
For me, both. Well, brand awareness now, since like nobody really knows about my brand right now. I'm trying to make it the go-to brand in Jamaica,
Mm-hmm.
skincare brand, So right now, brand awareness. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, sounds good. Anyone else? Is there anything in the chat? Okay. All right, so let's keep on moving along. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So based off of that, I want you to also just think about how it is that you can optimize what you're currently using to be able to create the impact that you want to create as well in your business, right? It's not just about um, generating revenue. Yet, of course, we all want to generate revenue in our businesses, but thinking about how it is that you can optimize each of these sources to create impact, but also think about the connection it is that you want to create with people as well, right? Because at the end of the day, any marketing that you're doing is ultimately just having a conversation, and you want to think about what kind of conversation it is that you want to have with people as well, right? So, all right, let's keep it moving. So I wanted to kind of shift gears and talk about like the actual sales funnel itself. So the top of the funnel leads, like think about the very top of your funnel. The top of the funnel is where you're going to get the attention of people. This is where you're going to spark their interest. This is where you're going to start that conversation, right? So at the very top of your funnel, you want to ensure that the content that you're creating is grabbing the attention of the right kinds of people, whether you're providing a service or a product. You want to look at multiple formats and see what's actually working and what's not working. And you also want to track your engagement, right? I strongly believe that whatever it is that you track, you can improve upon, right? So and a really great way to create attention grabbing content is to address any specific pain point or challenge at the very top, right? That's what's going to stop people in their tracks, and they're going to they want to actually listen to what it is that you have to say, what it is that you're talking about, and see if your solution will also work for them as well, whether or not they're actively looking for a solution. And of course, you want to use multiple formats. So you want to test out short form videos, you want to test out long form videos, you want to look at ways in which you can create as much value and give as much value up front. Because at the end of the day, people know that you're selling something. They don't like to be sold to, but at the same time, they want to know that what it is that you have to offer is of true value. So look at different formats in which you can create this content that's going to be of value to these people as well. And of course, like I said, you want to ensure that you're tracking your engagement metrics. So a really good way to look at your metrics, because there's a lot of metrics to track, and a lot of times I get this question asked all the time, like what metrics should I be tracking? Here's how I look at the way you should track your metrics. Measure metrics in comparison to another thing. And here's what I mean by that. So measure like your click-through rates, in comparison to your downloads. So if you had like a landing page or a sales page and you're offering, for instance, you were offering a free guide, right? Based off of the click-through rates to that page, how many of those people actually go ahead and give you their name and their email address and download that particular resource, right? And this is going to help you to see, okay, if people are actually interested in this. But then on the back end, if you're continuing to have that conversation with them once they're, in your ecosystem, they're on your email list, they're on your text message list, looking at what kind of conversions you have on the back end, and that's going to help you identify what actually resonates with people as well. So whatever you track, you can actually improve upon. If you don't track something, you can actually improve upon it. Okay. So another thing to think about when it comes on to being able to optimize your sales funnel is to think about how it is that you can turn customers into champions. So think of it from the standpoint of that there has to be a moment of delight, there has to be some kind of referral or conversation, and there has to be some kind of impact. So when it comes on to moments of delight, think about how it is that you can surprise customers with personalized touches, right? So here's an example of a really good way in which you can have a very personalized touch with your brand. If you were providing like a subscription box or subscription service where, people are getting something physical, having a handwritten thank you note, it goes a really long way. I think people underestimate those personal touches. Right. And of course, as you elevate and you scale, there's ways to kind of streamline this to make it more efficient. But having those personalized handwritten thank you notes goes a really long way, especially for clients or customers who um, are loyal customers. These are people who, they have, they stay on board for, a really long time, as opposed to them just kind of like testing out something. They sign up for a month or two and then they disappear, right? Another thing is a referral program. And here's the thing about referral program. I strongly believe that referral programs do not have to lead with a discount, right? It does not have to lead with a discount. It can ultimately just be that you're providing a VIP experience or access to exclusive products or services for what referrals, right? It doesn't have to be with a discount, right? So think of like here's a really good example. So Tesla has this program that they offer early access to new models if you are a referral customer, right? Or a potential customer, right? And then another way you can leverage referral programs without discounts is thinking about how you can create user-generated content to build trust. You can go ahead and feature that kind of content because they can see that other people are using it and they're getting results that are similar to what it is that they want, right? So those are ways in which you can leverage a referral. And then you want to think about the impact. The impact really boils down to being able to foster organic growth, right? And that organic growth should be embedded and built on the idea that you're going to increase your retention and build brand credibility. So I have another question. So we talked about that and how it can shape your customer experience. So we talked about the significance, we've talked about the impact, and we've talked about the means in which you can do that as well. So when it comes on to addressing opportunities for you to create a connection, a lot of times there's actually a problem with relevance, right? So if you're finding that your sales are staggering over a period of time, ask yourself, am I having a relevance problem, right? Awareness and relevance actually are the lifeblood of any profitable business. And if your audience doesn't know that you exist, or worse, they don't see your solution as valuable, to their needs, you're going to be leaving lots and lots of money on the table and any potential growth opportunities. So here's how to identify and seize awareness opportunities while solving the relevance problem to ensure your brand stays top of mind and very impactful. The first thing is that you want to create awareness that resonates with your audience based on the priorities that they have. And by this will allow for you to be able to drive engagement and build trust. Then you move on to the ability to have an impact, right? And if you have an impact, you have an impact because people see that this is relevant, and if it's relevant, then you'll be able to generate revenue, right? And then of course, we talked about how it is that you can build awareness through partnerships, niche platforms, and being able to create shareable content. But of course, at the end of the day, it's really about being able to provide very valuable content, whether or not you're providing a product or a service. And we've talked about some examples. And of course, being able to track things. Whatever it is that you track, you can actually improve upon as well, right? So how do you put all of this into action? So here's an execution framework. Feel free to take a screenshot of this, whatever you need to, so that you can be able to have this. You'll also get access to the replay. But if you want to have access to this, here's an execution framework that you can leverage, right? Here's how you can put all of this into action, and you can get started with that. So the first step is to audit your current entry point. So identify any underperforming channels and any opportunities that you have not yet explored, or it's something that you've noted in the past but you haven't had the opportunity to, you haven't prioritized this opportunity as of yet, right? Step two is to develop any relevant content. Content is the conversation that people want to have, right? So you want to ensure that you're mapping out content to your audience's intent and their needs. What is it that they want? What is it that they need? And of course, what it is that they need, but they haven't yet become aware of as well, right? And then in step three, you want to think about how it is that you can build advocacy programs. So like we mentioned, go ahead and implement that referral program, and thinking about how it is that you can build, you can leverage this for your loyalty strategy. And of course, whatever you track, you can actually improve upon. So you want to go ahead and track things. Always look at metrics in twos, not just how, just see how they relate to each other. Never just look at it in a silo. And you want to also ensure that you're monitoring key metrics like click-through rates, conversion rates, and your referral activity. Whatever it is that you track, you can actually improve upon. And when you track something, you can actually, that gives you an opportunity to optimize that performance and optimize that particular result. Okay. So let's move on to how it is that you look at your sales funnel, right? I want you to change the way. I know a lot of people look at a sales funnel as a very like linear thing, but I want you to kind of, I want to challenge you a little bit about how it is that you're looking at your sales funnel. Look at your sales funnel as like a flywheel, right? Traditional sales funnels solely focus on converting leads into customers, but they often fail to capitalize on the value that existing customers bring through advocacy, referrals, and repeat businesses. So this flywheel model turns this linear approach into a cyclical system where happy customers drive sustainable growth, right? With the changes in our economy, in societal values, in ways in which um, customers are engaging with brands, you have to be able to pivot and change as these things change. So at the end of the day, you want to ensure that your customers and your clients are really happy, because that's going to allow for you to be able to drive sustainable growth. So companies with a high customer retention rate actually grow 2.5 times faster than their peers. And loyal customers are 5 times more likely to refer your business to others, right? And referrals convert at 30% higher, right? Because someone's already out there advocating, saying, I bought a product from your business. I hired for this particular service, and they had a really good experience. And this is going to allow for you to be able to convert those people at a higher rate. So here's the significance of that, which we've kind of been talking about. So here's some notes in regards to this. And of course, when it comes on to what that actually looks like, let's get into the core of how you're able to map this out. So in terms of the means, it's going to ensure that at each stage of the buying journey, you're going to attract, you're going to engage, you're going to delight, you're going to provide opportunities for people to advocate and repeat, right? And then this is going to keep happening in a cycle, as opposed to looking at it just as a linear motion of things, right? So when you attract a lead or you attract someone, as you attract them, you have to engage with them, right? So effective attraction ensures that you're bringing in the right leads, one, while engagement ensures that they see that your value and they move further into your ecosystem. The whole point is for them to continue to do, it's for them to continue to engage, for them to continue to have a conversation with you as well. So in terms of this, for if you have a service-based business, if you were a personal trainer, for instance, a personal trainer might attract clients with a free 10-minute fitness assessment video and engage them by offering a personalized feedback based on their results. If you had a product-based business, it could be where you're providing potential customers information and content through an educational Instagram reel or a TikTok video on, a workout routine or and if say if you are in like the fitness space, maybe you're selling um a fitness course or something like, or like some kind of um fitness gear, think about just like you just have to get really, really creative. And then if like you had like a skincare brand, for instance, you can encourage people by showcasing how they can incorporate your particular product into their daily routine, whether that's their skincare routine, whether that's through, if you had like a journal, for instance, how you can incorporate that in like your morning time routine or your nighttime routine, right? And that's going to engage with people. The whole point of attracting people is to actually engage with them. The second thing to know is that you want to delight people, right? So you remember we talked about having those moments of delight. Delighting customers post-purchase ensures that they feel valued and understood, and you're building a foundation for long-term loyalty. So if you're going to be providing, say you're selling a coffee subscription, or you're a coffee subscription company, you want to ensure that you are surprising your customers with a free sample to a new roast, right? So if they're buying coffee every single month from your business and you know you're launching something in the next few months, that would be a really great opportunity for you to put in a sample, and that's going to allow for them to be on the lookout for something new, of course, but then that also allows for you to have a conversation with them, encouraging them to share their feedback about that particular new roast that you're coming up with in the future in the next couple of months as well. The third thing is to be able to for there to be opportunities for them to advocate. So customer advocacy not only reduces marketing costs, but it also builds trust among potential customers as well. Okay. All right. So let's move right along. And let's talk about retention as the new acquisition, right? Remember we talked about how it's easier for you to be able um, to leverage a referral, or if a customer goes out there and provides that referral for you, it's very cost efficient, right? Like it's going to cost very significantly less than going out there and retaining or attracting a new customer. So think about how it is that you can, regardless if you're selling a product or you're providing a service, how it is that you can improve your retention rates so that, of course, you can make new business a much simpler, easier process for you and very cost efficient as well. And just not only like cost efficient in terms of financially, but just also your time as well. So those are some things that you want to think about when it comes on to retention. You're not just looking at it as, okay, well, I'm going to go out here and hustle and get more clients or get more customers. Think about how it is that you can leverage what you already have in hand as well. Another thing you want to think about when it comes on to retention, being able to optimize your pain points within your business, is looking at the after engagement, right? Like think about what happens after someone engages with your brand, right? Why is this valuable? What are some steps? And here are some examples. So I want to pose this question to you. Why do you think after sale engagement makes sense for your business, or why should you leverage this for your business? I'm going to just pause for a second and tap in the chat box, or feel free to come off your mic and let me know. go ahead. You feel free to come off your mic, or put it in the chat boxes. Either works. Okay, so to nurture customer relationship. Okay. Why don't say I think. Stand wholeheartedly in what you're saying. Okay, so to nurture customer relationship. That sounds great. I think that's a really good place to start. But I think that's like, let's dive a little bit deeper into that. What does that mean? What does nurturing a customer relationship look like? What does it actually mean? What does that look like?
I'm not sure. Like to keep the conversation going. I don't know.
Right, right. It is a conversation, right? It's definitely to keep the conversation going. But why do you want to keep the conversation going?
To like keep the relationship like to have a loyal customer.
Right. You do want, okay, why don't sound so unsure. Say it wholeheartedly with your whole chest. But that's what you want in your business, right?
Right,
So if that's what you want in your business, then you should do the things that is going to allow for you to have those things, right?
right.
So what does your post-sale journey look like?
To be honest,
Hmm. I want you to be honest. I
I haven't really
thought about that.
yeah.
Okay. So what do you think it should look like? What you think it should look like? And anyone can share in the comments, um, or come off their mic and let me know. What do you think your post-sale journey should look like?
Hi. I think it should look like you just like reaching out to ask them if they found if it's a product, like if they found the product nice, or do they have any complaints, or to like leave a review or something. Not sure.
Right, right. So ultimately, you want to ensure that when you're mapping out your post-sale journey, it identifies any pain points or opportunities to improve the customer experience. And that's also another way in which you can pave for advocacy, right? Going back to the idea that like we want to be very profitable, but we also want to be very cost efficient in how we are acquiring new clients and customers, right? So that is another way that the post-sale journey is valuable, and of course allows for you to be able to identify any milestones. It allows for you to gather data and to optimize any touch points as well. So let's get back into the slides. Okay. But that's a really good point as well, that it's getting those reviews, thinking about what was their experience like with your particular product. So, these are different types of touch points that you can have after the sale. Like think about how it is that you can continue to have a conversation with people after the sale, like the engagement that you want to have with them, what kind of conversations that you want to have with them. I strongly believe, and from my experience, having at least, 5 touch points beyond after the sale is a really good way to allow for you to, continue the conversation without you telling them like, come and look to see if you want to buy something else again, right? So that's also another way in which it's going to be really valuable. It allows for you to identify milestones. So if someone, buys your product or so let's use a product for instance. Someone buys your product, then they can give you feedback on it, they can give you a review, and of course you can also be able to optimize your touch points, because that allows for them to give you feedback, but also for you to be able to address any gaps in your follow-up, right? Looking at how it is that you're really personalizing the communication, and if there's any additional support that needs to happen beyond that. Sometimes people need support, or they have a question, but because you don't ask them if they have a question, they're not going to tell you that they do actually have a question, right? So think about that in your after sale engagement as well. So what's next? Now, what's next? Let's look at how we can connect the dots and what your key takeaways are. So you want to ensure that you are aligning your content with the buyer intent, right? So from transitioning from just looking at your sales funnel as this very linear thing to more like the flywheel approach, Your business can create a self-sustaining system where customers continuously drive growth for your business. But of course, by optimizing those entry points ensures that you attract the right leads, aligning your content that will allow for you to build trust. It allows for you to have the engagement, right? We want to attract people, but we want to also engage with them and allowing them to become advocates for your brand. And that's going to maximize their long-term value as well, and the value that they're going to get from your business as well, right? So why does it, we talked about why it matters. We talked about what kind of impact does your content map have in terms of, okay, what kind of content you're creating when you attract someone, what kind of content you're going to create when you want to, spike the engagement, right? What is it, what kind of content you're going to create at each stage of your business, right? We talked about those steps as well. So if you want me to go back to that as well, I'd be happy to. But ultimately, your approach should ensure that your sales funnel is not just about transactions. It's really about building meaningful and lasting relationships that will benefit your customers and your business as well, right? Putting the customers at the center of it. And of course, delighting your customers post-sale is a non-negotiable, right? Of course, it lays the foundation for loyalty and advocacy. And advocacy programs allows for you to have retention, and those retention efforts should reduce your marketing costs while driving and allowing you to be able to drive sustainable growth for your business. And at every step of the flywheel, from attraction to repeat, feeds into itself. So it's really about building momentum that fuels that growth that you want to have in your business as well. So I mentioned, so this is how, you want to ensure you're looking at the types of content that you're creating at each stage of your um, the buyer's journey, right? We're thinking about how it is that you're going to attract them, how you're going to engage with them, how you're going to present opportunities for them to buy from you. Here's the thing as well too. A lot of times people will say to me, "Hey, Krista, I presented an offer to someone and they didn't buy and they're upset." And rightfully, I get why they're upset. But I'm like, okay, so what are you going to do to follow up? And they're like, well, I didn't follow up. The money's in the follow up. The money is literally in the follow-up. People are busy. People aren't thinking about you. People are, are being pulled and pushed in the conflicting directions. The money is literally in the follow-up, whether you're selling a product or a service. So ensure that you are actually following up with people, right? And not just thinking about, okay, I'm just going to present the opportunity once, right? And that's why you have to look at the buying cycle and the people who are buying from your customer journey as a cycle, as opposed to just like this linear um, journey, right? It's happening in a cycle. All right. So based off of this, here are the stages of your sales funnel and what this looks like. So you have the top of your funnel. That's the awareness stage where you can lead with educational content. You have the middle of the funnel. This is where you're going to be focusing on building trust, like the trust building content. And then at the bottom of the funnel, this is where you're going to have your conversion focused content, right? So these are the different stages of every sales funnel: the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and then the bottom of the funnel. And each of these stages, there's going to be different types of content that you're going to be creating. And this is going to ensure that you're focused on having the right conversations at the right time. You don't want to be having the wrong conversations at the wrong time, right? And when you really think about this as well, you're thinking about how it is that you're prioritizing the buyer's needs at each stage of their journey, right? So misaligned content leads to confusion, it leads to drop-offs, it leads to missed opportunities. And you want to ensure that you're strategically mapping out your content to ensure that there's going to be relevance and engagement and make it smoother for people to be able to convert as well. Okay. So creating content that matches the buyer's intent at every stage. Think about how you're going to attract them, how you're going to engage with them, and ultimately convert those leads into customers by addressing their needs. And sometimes people's needs are ever evolving, and it's your job, it's your responsibility as the business owner to ensure that you are meeting these needs that possibly evolves over time as well. Right. So, of course, like we mentioned at the top of the funnel, this is where you're going to have your awareness content. So generally, it's going to be educational content. And then at the middle of the funnel, this is where you're going to have your trust building content. And then at the bottom, that's where you're going to be focused heavily on your the content that's focused on conversion and beyond. Okay. If you have any questions, like I mentioned, feel free to leave them in the comment section. But let's move quite along. So another really good thing about content is like when you realize that something works, you can repurpose it, and you can repurpose it on all channels or whatever channels make the most sense for your business as well, right? It's really good to repurpose videos. It's good to repurpose visuals. It's really good to repurpose things. It's all, and I know as cliche as it sounds, yes, you want to work smarter, not necessarily harder, but it matters in the sense that you are focused on consistently reaching new audiences in different formats. And that of course is going to allow for you to be to drive engagement while maximizing your time investment as well. Right. So here's some really creative, simple, easy strategies you can implement. You can turn a blog into an infographic for Pinterest or LinkedIn. You can repurpose webinar highlights into social media posts or short videos. You can transform a case study into an email series highlighting key insights, right? Always think about what's in it for the person who is going to be reading it. Like you might have this amazing idea and you may think it's great, but does the person who is going to buy from you, do they see the value in that as well? And ultimately, businesses that repurpose their content actually see about 33% more leads than those that don't. So look at ways how you can maximize what you have created. It's not about like reinventing the wheel. It's really about looking at how it is that you can repurpose your content across all channels, right? And that will allow for you to be able to identify any tools, any gaps that you may have in your content as well. It's not just about like, of course, always come up with new content. Here's the thing, if you created something and it did really well and you like the numbers that you've seen, think about, okay, why did this do really well? How can I repurpose or recreate this? But start repurpose. How can I repurpose this on another platform to make it increase the visibility, right? I had a question, someone asked me on TikTok a few days ago about, do I need to create a new video for different platforms? No. Whenever I create a video, I record a video. The same video that I post on TikTok is the same video I post on LinkedIn. Just that I know that kind of information and content and how TikTok performs is a little bit different from LinkedIn. So I know that on TikTok, for instance, I need to ensure that my caption is heavily keyword rich. On LinkedIn, keyword rich is not necessarily a part of the strategy in terms of increasing that visibility. It's really about having a very specific conversation because a lot of times people from my experience on TikTok don't actually read the caption, believe it or not. But on LinkedIn, people are more likely to read the caption because it's just the way how the platform is set up and just like the intent that people have behind using that particular platform as well. So think about how it is that can you create this content? How can you repurpose it? And just ensure that you're putting it on the channels that make sense where your potential clients and customers are also hanging out as well. All right, so here's some tools to help you to I'm going to share with you in a little bit. I may send this out via email, but there's some tools that you can use to identify where there is gaps in your content. Of course, you want to do your strategy. You look at your strategy and see based off the numbers that you're seeing how well those are doing. But you can use Google Analytics, for instance, to be able to identify pages that have a high bounce rate. You can look at your email marketing platform, look and seeing what your open rates are in your emails. That is also going to tell you like what's happening on a very on a grander scale, right? And then you have to kind of go into the weeds of it to be able to see what's happening and how it is that you can address those things accordingly. Just being mindful of time. I wanted to keep this as short as possible. Okay, so let's move on to the interactive elements. You want to ensure that you're creating content that people actually want, right? And of course, at each stage, which I can't stress this enough, that at each stage of your funnel, you need to be able to create content that's tailored to the conversation that people have and the buyer intent. Because if someone becomes first, like they just found out about your brand today, the likelihood of them buying right now is slimmer, right? The more they engage with their brand, the more that number increases, and the more likely that they are to actually buy, right? So here's some steps to build your matrix. List each funnel stage, right? So you're gonna have your top of your funnel. You're gonna focus on the awareness at the top of the funnel. The middle of the funnel, that's where you're going to have your consideration, and at the bottom of your funnel, hopefully there's going to be a decision, right? You're going to take inventory of your current content and categorize it by each stage. Then you're going to go ahead and identify gaps or areas with limited content. If there's limited content in a very specific space, or you feel as if there could be more value provided, you want to ensure that you're filling this gap. And then you're going to ensure that based off of that, you're going to develop a plan to fill these gaps with relevant content in relevant formats. Because of course, not every based off of a platform, not every format is going to work, right? For instance, I'll give you an example. So I find that videos where I create and I'm talking to the camera does really well on LinkedIn and TikTok. But that video may not necessarily do really well on Pinterest. It's just the nature of the platform, right? So you want to test different things and ensure that you're filling the gaps with relevant formats, right? So I might create this video and this video does really well, but how can I create it and put it into like a motion graphic, infographic visual and post it on Pinterest, for instance, right? So you want to look at your ecosystem. You want to look at each of the stages in your sales funnel. So in terms of application for a business, a product-based business can map out that they have a lot of top of the funnel blogs, but they lack a bottom of the funnel testimonials, reviews. And then of course, if there's a lack there of those bottom of the funnel testimonials or reviews, it's not going to prompt action. Of course, at the top of the funnel, at the bottom of the funnel, sorry, you want to ensure that you are prompting action or especially immediate action, because if you've been very intentional about all those touch points to that point, you want to ensure that the content that you're creating makes sense at each stage of your sales funnel. So let's bring it all together. Mapping out your content to your buyer intent aligns with your strategy, but of course, with the customer's needs in mind, and improving your engagement and the effectiveness of your funnel. So by offering relevant content, like I said, at each stage, you build trust, you nurture leads, and you guide them seamlessly toward conversion. Okay. So ultimately, you want to think about how it is that you can create educational content, trust building content, conversion focused content. And of course, these things need to be tailored to each stage of the sales funnel, right? So conversion focused content will not do really well at the top of the funnel. Conversion focused content is going to do much better, significantly better at the bottom of the funnel. So you need to ensure that that is in alignment. And then you want to ensure that you're repurposing your high performing content to maximize your reach and your return on investment as well. And then use tools like content matrices and analytics to identify and address gaps in your content library. So the content needs to have a conversation at the right stage of your sales funnel. You want to have a conversation that makes sense at that specific stage of your sales funnel. And when your content aligns with your buyer intent, it transforms your funnel so that it can be a very efficient funnel, but of course, one that actually drives results, right? And of course, that results means the revenue that you're able to generate from putting things all together. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I had mentioned earlier that I will be making an offer. So I put together this 3-day sales funnel challenge that will allow for you to really put all the things that we learned together, gain the insights on who your customers are and when they're ready to buy. This challenge will also allow for you to learn how to personalize messaging that resonates at each stage of the sales funnel. And of course, by putting all these things together over the 3 days, you'll be able to build and leverage what you have right now to increase your reach and your revenue. I'll go ahead and put the link to this this challenge in the chat box. And if you have any questions, of course, let me know and I'll be happy to answer them. And that brings us to the end of today's class. Anyone has any questions or concerns, we can discuss it. We still have like 10 minutes left for the class. Here is the link to the 3-day sales funnel challenge. Any questions? Was there anything else that I missed? Any questions about anything that we discussed? Okay, so what was the highlight of, what was one thing that stood out to you that we discussed today? And feel free to come off your mic if you want to share.
Well, I love the presentation. What stood out to me was that the content must align with like the buyer's intent, because what I've been doing is just like posting with no strategy, I guess.
No
I was
direction?
like trying to see, yeah, I was just trying to see which one would do better. So I'll just post how to, then I'll post a behind the scenes. There is, direction to say, okay, if I post this content, this, so, there is no
Mhm.
strategy behind.
Right. So
So,
just think about like what kind of conversation you want to have when you create that
right,
piece of content. And, a lot of the content that you're going to be creating is going to be like the top of the funnel kind of content, right? Ultimately, you want to drive them somewhere. So ensure that that piece is integrated in how you're setting that up. And
right,
that will definitely help you to maximize on your time investment as well.
right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Okay, so what do you think are your next steps? Like, what are the next things that you want to do? Or what are the next things you need to do based off of this conversation or this call?
A lot. Okay. A
Okay,
lot
so let's
of
itemize. Okay, it's not a lot. Let's itemize it. What are the top 3 things that you need to do starting tomorrow morning, for instance?
um think about like, what would I say? Make my content like marketing, like have a strategy behind it. Utilize many platforms to get my brand out there, because I said I want to start brand awareness, and also the follow up with the customers as well.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I
Okay.
need to do that.
Okay, well, I mean, I think the challenge will also help you. I think the challenge talks about a lot of the foundational elements. Each of the videos in the challenge is like under 15 minutes, and the challenge, I don't think I mentioned how much it is. It's $40 as well. So it's quite inexpensive. I wanted to be able to like I put a lot of the things that I work with like my one-on-one clients into these 3-day challenge. So I think it's a really good way to um segment things so that you're actually building around a strategy as opposed to like throwing a whole bunch of things at the wall and hoping that something's actually going to stick.
Right,
So yeah, I did.
that's true.
Yeah, so I suggest you take a look at the challenge, and if you have any questions, let me know. Um,
Okay, thank
oh, you're welcome. I think for me, Josephine, if you want to come off your mic, feel free to as well. I think for me, the next thing is to create valuable content people can relate to. What does that mean? What does that look like? Like it sounds great, but what does it actually look like in actuality? Like if you have to get pen and paper together, like what does that actually look like? How are you gonna do that? What does that look like? How are you going to create this kind of content that people can relate to? What does that content look like for those people? What does it mean for you? Like, does it mean you're creating videos? Like, what formats are you looking at? If you want to double down and share some of that, maybe I can give you some insights on that. I like the idea of, okay, I like the idea of targeted marketing video clips posted on multiple platforms. Great present. Yeah, absolutely, Derek. So yeah, so I think that it's important for you to just test out different formats and see what actually works. But I know, for instance, on LinkedIn, video actually does really well, right? A lot of written content does well, but I find that shorter form content does exceptionally well in terms of like shorter form written content on LinkedIn does really well. Sometimes the longer form stuff can work, but I think that if someone just becomes aware of you recently, they're not very inclined to go ahead and consume a long form content. But if you can have a mixture of both, that is a really good way to build your authority and to build your that trust as well. And just think about why it is that you're creating this content, right? It's not just about creating content because you need to create content. It's like, okay, what's the purpose of this content? What conversation do I want to have with this particular piece of content as well? So, um, hopefully that helps. Josephine, if you wanted to double down and let me know, what the,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay, so I'm not yet sure what specific kind of content, but I was thinking of doing something like maybe showing like maybe like my business is like a gifting business. So I was thinking of sharing like maybe gift ideas and talking about how personalized stuff are valuable, kind of. I'm not sure, but
Right. Right. And what does personalization looks very different for different types of people as well. Right.
mhm.
So with that being said, like who's your ideal customer?
My ideal customer will be literally anybody, and then businesses that want to have like their branded um business
It's okay.
merch
Okay,
or
merch. Okay. Well, never say it's everybody because it's not everybody, because not everybody
okay.
wants it, not everybody needs it, not everybody sees the value in it, not everyone's willing to
Mhm,
pay for it. So with that being said, I think you need to fine tune who your ideal customers are first. And the
mhm,
reason I say this is because there are different types of ideal customers.
mhm,
And the challenge helps you like map that out as well. Like the challenge is only $40. So if that's something that you're, it's a priority for you, definitely go ahead and take a look at it. But you have to be able to identify the different types of customers, because if you're not able to identify the different types of customers, what conversations are you going to be having? And if you're not sure what conversations you are going to be having, the content isn't going to align. And one of the
mhm,
biggest problems people find is that they're not having the right conversations and the content isn't aligning, right? So remember how I said
mhm,
how the content that you would create at the top of your funnel is going to be very different from the content that you create at the bottom of the funnel. The bottom of the funnel, that's where you're talking about like coming, like for them, you're having a conversation about buying. At the top of the
mhm.
funnel, you're just educating them, right? So the content needs to align based off of where it is that that person is along on their buying journey, and just looking at it as a cycle and not just like a linear journey.
Oh, okay. I think I have a lot of work to do.
And it's okay. Here's the thing. We're in a new year. It's the beginning. It's a reset, but this is also a really great opportunity for you to kind of build a framework that you can leverage as opposed to throwing a whole bunch of things at the wall and
Mhm.
see what's actually going to stick.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions before we go ahead and close out? You're welcome, Dee. Any other questions? All right. I didn't see any questions coming through, so hopefully this was valuable and this kind of put some things into mind for you. And if you have any questions, of course, reach out to me. But you're welcome. You're welcome. I definitely take a look at the 3-day sales funnel challenge. That's also going to be able to allow for you to um, get a clear understanding of how to put all the things we talked about together today, and how what that looks like in your sales funnel, and that could be like your launch pad to being able to market in a more efficient and impactful way. So thank you so much for coming, and I will see you guys later. Bye, everyone.